Ain't No Half Stepping with Marcus J, live from the Den, Legacy Internet Radio. Thank y'all for rocking with us as you hang with us as we continue through the dopeness of Ain't No Half Stepping with Marcus J, live from the Den of Legacy Internet Radio. You're sitting in with me and Big Bro Joe. And one of the things that I wanted to talk to you guys about is missing children. As you know, we profile a missing and or exploited child every single week. Matter of fact, I think we should profile one right now.
Let's do it.
All right. Timar Green. I'm going to get to what we was talking about in a minute.
Yeah, we but this is more important, though.
This is more important. Timar Green's a brother, young brother. He's 16-year-old black male. Been missing since July 16th of 2016. Black male, stands 5'3", weighs 100 pounds. He was last seen on July 16, 2016, wearing blue jeans, black shoes, carrying a blue book bag. If you've seen Timar Green, please contact the National Center for Missing and or Exploited Children on their website, missingkids.com, or contact them at 1-800-THE-LOST, 1-800-843-5678, or contact the Richmond City Police Department here in the capital city, 804-646-5125. Okay, now I got that out of my system. I just had to get that out of my system. But this past Friday, you and I were on a panel on Legacy TV, which airs here in Richmond on Comcast 95 and Verizon 36 on Friday nights at 6 p.m. and replayed on YouTube. And we did a segment on missing children. And we shared our feelings on missing children.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give the listeners a taste of what we do on Legacy TV. So I'm going to play that piece in its entirety. But I want you to set it up, the piece that you and I and others did on the Legacy TV segment just this past Friday. Set it up and send us to the piece.
So, folks, let's just sit here and think about something for a second. What happens when your child goes missing? How do you feel? What if you think your child is missing? How do you feel? Not let's play it that way. What do you think if you can't reach your child? What do you think if you see a strange van or a truck in the area that comes around and you don't know that vehicle in that area? What do you do when you see people out selling stuff and you don't know and you got your kids out around in the yard? How do you feel? Yo, y'all take a listen to what we got going on here, and I can tell you feel scared, you feel nervous, you don't feel in charge. And if you're a man and a father, you feel worried. Check this out. Tell us what you think.
We're going to play this clip. It's about 20 minutes. Take a listen. And we're back. Thank you for staying with us on Legacy TV. I'm your host, Marcus J. We had a caller that was trying to get with us during our break. Caller, if you're still watching us here on Legacy TV, call us up and we'd be happy to bring you into the show. Joining me now on the show tonight is our family from our show, Joy Embodied Radio. We've got our brother Big Bro Joe down there on the end. How you doing today, brother?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you today, Marcus J?
Doing outstanding. It's good to see you over there, looking bright and yellow.
Oh yeah, you know.
Yeah, I can dig it.
Sunshiny day.
Yeah, you're facing the sun rising in the east, my brother.
Always.
And of course, joining us as well is our sister, the Joy of Joy Embodied Radio, our sister Ashley Joy. What's going on, Ash?
How you doing? I'm glad to be here.
Glad to see you over there. And of course, staying with us is our brother James Harris of United Black Business Group. And as I mentioned in the closing of the last segment, we're going to talk about missing children in this segment here. And we're just going to round table. You know, we all up here either have children or nieces and nephews and godchildren and just children who we feel very close to, and we can all imagine what it would be like if one of them left our eyesight one day and didn't come home. On Ain't No Half Stepping with Marcus J, which is the show that I've hosted on internet radio for almost the last 6 years and almost the last 5 as one of the founders of Legacy Internet Radio, I've profiled a missing child on every single show that I've ever done. It started off as profiling children from the areas and markets that I was close to. So I would profile children in Jersey City, New Jersey, which is my hometown where I was born and raised. And I would profile children in Atlanta, Georgia, which is one of the towns that I frequent. One of my best friends lives there, and I have a lot of folks there and a lot of love there. People who, support Legacy Internet Radio. And of course, in the capital city here in Richmond, Virginia. And I've always done it. It's always been something that the team at Legacy Internet Radio has always supported me and continued to do for the whole time we've been on the radio. And over the last few weeks and months, we've been hearing about children being missing in the Washington, D.C. area in a higher concentration of numbers than we've seen in the past. And it blew up social media pretty much a couple of weeks ago, maybe a week or two ago. And a lot of those cases, I guess, let me back up. A lot of those cases didn't make the national news. I was distressed by that. There was a case out of Tennessee where there was a young child that wasn't a black child that had run off with her teacher, and that made national news. And any child that's missing, let me just start by saying that, any child that's not at home with their family is a problem. It's a problem. My focus has always been on missing children, regardless of the demographic. But as I started a little bit more prominence in radio, I started to find that I was the only one that was really looking for our children. I will call radio stations and I will call news stations, and I called one of the locals here in Richmond, Virginia, and I was told that the case that I was interested in at the time, and unfortunately that case escapes me, but the case that I was interested in at the time wasn't sensational enough, which is the reason why they wouldn't profile it. Meanwhile, that week was the week that the runaway bride, who was a grown woman, by the way, had run off from getting married because she didn't want to get married. And when they found her in Disney World. But they didn't want to profile a missing black child. So that outraged me. And I was already profiling missing children at the time, but that absolutely outraged me. And fast forward now to this thing in DC. So I wanted to open it up, kind of share with the listeners. I'm going to share with you guys before the end of this segment why missing children is so personal to me. I want everyone to have an opportunity to say what they feel about it. I'm going to start with my sister Ashley. She's got some notes there. I want to make sure that we bring you in. Ashley, talk to the people.
Yes, well, in the recent weeks, there's definitely been an uptick of discussion about children missing on social media. In Washington, D.C. alone, over 500 children have been reported missing since January 1st of this year. It wasn't until Harvey Lanvin of TMZ, the owner of TMZ, who decided to discuss it on his platform, that national media began to pick this up. The response to that was the FBI stated, well, we're just posting things on Twitter now. We didn't used to do that before, so it seems like there's more children missing than not. However, the next response to that is, no, that's not the case. This is just a cover-up because you are not looking for our children. And it is noted that when African American and Latino children are missing, they are instantly identified as runaways and they are not looked for. However, when a white child is missing or an Asian child is missing, those children are instantly looked for. So there is a problem that needs to be addressed, irregardless of your race. Yes, children missing is a horrible issue, but all children deserve to be looked for.
Joe, we've been brothers for a long time. You know my story, how I feel about missing children, which I'll share again in a few minutes. But I want to kind of talk to you a little bit about your feelings on it. You're a father, you're a grandfather, you have a lot of children that are, associated with you that may not even be in your bloodline. My child looks to you and calls you Uncle Joe. So we know how you feel about children.
Definitely.
What's your thoughts on the topic? We're talking about missing children here on Legacy TV.
My immediate response is every child is worthy to be looked for. First of all, we've already stated that if a child is missing, then we need to put forth every effort to make sure that every child, not specifically one race, color, creed, every child. I feel some kind of way because I don't think that our men are taking a viable responsibility to make sure that those children are protected. You know how I feel about it. I got the name Big Bro Joe because that's what I am. I'm the big brother. I'm the one who makes sure that everybody else is taken care of and to make sure that we all feel safe. So If I have to get out and look for people, I don't mind. If I get a phone call in the middle of the night, because I've done it before, and we've had to go out and look for these kids. And people who have those different types of illnesses, you know, because we already stated, our sister Ashley stated that a lot of times they're segmented into different groups. And to be segmented into a different group, to me, is deplorable.
Right.
We need to make sure that we stick to the facts. Is a child missing? Yes. Then that's the bottom line. That's the point blank period.
You don't need to talk about it no more. Let's go find the child. James, we know you have a little girl. Well, before we come to you, James, we've got a caller. Caller, you are watching Legacy TV on Comcast 95 or Verizon 36. What's your name and what's your comment?
Oh yeah, my name is Stuart.
Hey, Stuart. How you doing?
Yeah, and you know, it's interesting because I was at a town hall meeting not too long ago, and there are so many layers to this particular issue, and what was revealed at that town hall meeting is there's this upsurge in human trafficking. And the thing about Washington, D.C. that's unique, which has been covered up for so many years, D.C. is probably worse than a lot of places when it comes to human trafficking, and definitely sex trafficking. And what I highly suspect is there's been this uptick of human trafficking around the D.C. area. In fact, there was a documentary on this a few years ago because of the money and the wealth. It's sick, it's wicked. But what you basically have in that D.C. area are some very prominent people, powerful people. And some of these people love to make laws and legislate everybody else when they come to their morality. But they got these in the closet behaviors. And what's so sickening about it is that the whole thing with prostitution is they're going after all these children. And so it doesn't surprise me, it doesn't shock me. What's so appalling is that there's been so much of a cover-up when it comes to this.
Absolutely.
That's what's really so appalling, so sad about this. Right. And they're targeting a lot of these vulnerable communities and these vulnerable kids. And like I said, there's a lot of information about it, a lot of documentaries about it that's been discussing it. But as you pointed out, you make a good point. Mainstream media doesn't cover it. Mainstream media doesn't talk about it. And ironically, when it comes to children of color, they don't discuss it. So the bottom line is the great thing about your program, what you're doing, the onus is really going to be on us, to be honest with you, to put it out there, to talk about it. If nobody else talks about it, we have to talk about it, get the information, empower each other so we know what to do to basically avert this from happening.
Absolutely, totally agree, Stuart. Thank you for joining us today, and continue watching. We appreciate you, Stuart. Thank you. You got it.
So the caller actually brought up a very good point about the elite ring, and there actually is in Washington, D.C., it's called the Elite Pedo Ring, and it's a group of elite people who are running sex trafficking or human trafficking systems in the Washington, D.C. area. Now, as quiet as it's kept, a lot of our politicians are involved in this ring, as well as a lot of our media execs. So no, your children might not get the coverage because it will blow up a much bigger entity if their coverage is received. It is deplorable that 500 children since January are missing. That doesn't even make sense. There's not even 500 days in a year. So, it's quite unsettling. Just last year, there was a rumor that a sex trafficking network was being run out of Comet Pizzeria in Upper Northwest Washington, D.C. And a young man did go into that pizzeria with a gun and shoot up a couple people, and that probably was unnecessary for him to do that, but he thought that he was uncovering this sex trafficking ring. It was said that there was nothing there, but it was later found out that there were things there. There were.
So there was definitely something
going on there,
and we know about it. And
it was
somehow
covered.
he caught wind of it.
Well,
Exactly.
I mean, I don't know if you guys seen Maybe a week or two ago, it was an article with the police being involved in the taking of the children as well. So that's a whole different aspect too. If you got the people that's supposed to be trusted,
Right.
with finding, our missing girls or our missing people within itself, but they have access to being able to have them. So that right there in itself is a different ball game as well.
Talk to us, James, about your own, feelings about missing children. Joe and Ashley and I had an opportunity to kind of give our opening statement with regards to that. We took Stuart's call. I want to talk to you. What's your thoughts?
I just think it's sad, man. It's definitely sad based on the fact that teens, kids, anybody for one that's being kidnapped or abducted is a sad thing. But to have kids knowing that they may be potentially in sex trafficking or anything like that is just sad in itself. I do have a little girl. She's my world. So, I don't even want to begin to think of the possibilities of being able to lose my daughter to something like that.
Right.
So, and the attention came from just people retweeting and different stuff like that. Like she said, it wasn't even a push. I was on the FBI website a couple of days ago, and it's a Caucasian lady on there and a couple other people on there, but they got rewards offered if you find these people, but none of the
Nothing for our
500
children.
girls.
Nothing for our children.
What does that make sense? This lady hopefully she's found, hopefully she's okay, not hit at her family, anything like that. I wish them the best, but it's been over, I want to say 5 years or so. It's no sign of her, but she's still within the top 5, and none of these young ladies or kids, are even on the radar or on the website.
But it's funny that you say that. We talk about the fact that the child is missing, and if we think logically, we have to know that the time immediately after they've gone missing is the most important period. And I'll tell you a little story. On Ain't No Half Step on Marcus J, which is the radio show that I host on Legacy Internet Radio on Monday nights at 7. Once I profile a missing child, I try to make sure that I follow up, but there are so many, sometimes it's difficult to do that. This Monday that just passed, there were 2 black girls, 14 and 16, that went missing after school. Did you know that? Did you guys know that?
No.
Exactly. One from Henrico High School got dropped off at the family member's house. Family member was supposed to be there by 4:30. So from the time the child got out of school, they were dropped off, confirmed, and the aunt arrived home at 4:30, and the child wasn't there, and the child is still out there missing. And the other child, unfortunately, I don't have the details on them now, but the point I'm making is, here we are living in the capital city of the Commonwealth of Virginia, and I knew that because I go looking for stories like that, but it wasn't on the news. We can open up the news and lead with the weather. We can lead with hail in Oklahoma and in Texas, but we don't lead with missing children here in our capital city. You're watching Legacy TV. We've got a call on the live line. Caller, what's your name and what's your question, your comment?
Oh, yes. This is very important. Not only are they missing for sex trafficking, but you would truly be surprised. They are missing because they're killing them and taking out kidneys and parts out.
The organs.
See, I'm trying to get you to understand. Everything is not about sex. It's about they're young and they're missing. They are taking your parts out, baby. Yeah. They were doing this to the homeless. They were taking them in and feeding them, and you never saw them again. So we are here. We're in Revelation. And like God said, things you've never seen or heard before, it's going on now. So they have a lot of reasons for taking the young people before they damage the parts. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely.
The babies, they abort them and you must understand, this goes very deep, Pamela.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. God sees all. He will reveal more to you. But I'm telling you, it's more than sex.
Absolutely. I'm so...
And I'll say good evening, and I'll keep watching.
Absolutely. Thank you, caller. We appreciate you. I'm so glad that she brought up the point of organs.
Organs.
The reason why I'm so glad about that is you guys remember in Georgia about a year ago, or maybe a little over a year ago, where they found a boy wrapped up in the I guess he was wrapped up in a carpet in the gym at the school,
Yes.
and he was beat up pretty good. But when they they autopsied him, they found that all his organs were missing.
Newspaper.
Newspaper, yeah, exactly. And that's an outstanding point that she makes, because when you look at the reasons that people may, go missing, sex trafficking is one thing, organ harvesting is quite another.
Yeah, it's definitely a black market for that. They had statistics out a couple weeks ago for the black market for different organs and stuff like that. So that has definitely increased. You was gonna say something, Joe?
Well, no, I was going to just piggyback off what you said. Definitely, having worked in the medical field for a little while, you got to remember younger children or children in the teenage years, especially ladies and women, are pretty much, they're just so viable. I mean, when it comes to kidneys, when it comes to livers, because those things are untouched. And like we were also sharing, you think about the DC area. You think about our area, but you think about the DC area, you got a lot of, I might get some flack, but politicians up there who are trying to make sure that their folks are taken care of and well taken care of. People will do just about anything selfishly to take care of their own.
Yeah.
That's why, once again, we know that we're not hearing a lot about it. We're not speaking on it. That's why I'm loving the fact that we got a platform here to be able to, on Legacy TV, to be able to actually put this out here. And the caller was dead on.
Absolutely.
Dead on.
Absolutely.
And like you said, they in that area up there with those politicians, those people with money, they can afford to buy those organs. So if they got those family members at the middle of the list that need that transplant, that's one of the reasons, one of the causes. They doing it on the black market.
Yeah.
That was part of the research, the article that was out too. I'll send you the link on Legacy so you can put that out.
Please. Ashley, I know that you're actually from DC, so this is personal for you with regards to that. Any thoughts on your hometown now being in the national spotlight solely because of social media? Not even for the right reason, but because of social media and the crush that was put out to put a spotlight on these missing girls. Because here's the other thing that we didn't mention, and it speaks right in line to the harvesting of organs and even the sex trafficking. A lot of those girls that went missing fit the same physical description, and within a couple of years of each other in age. Ash, what's your thoughts?
Actually, I am happy that our community has come together on social media to bring awareness to this. I'm glad that we are supporting our own kind. 3 years ago, 4 children were found murdered in their own home, okay? By the time the police discovered that they were there, it was determined that they had been dead in their home for 6 months. 6 school months, okay? Who murdered them? Their own mother. And she was actually living in the house with those 4 dead bodies for 6 months. Social services failed. Those students did not come to school. The teachers failed. Everyone failed. But because these were African American students, no one looked for them.
You're watching Legacy TV. I'm your host, Marcus J. Caller, what's your name and what's your comment?
Hey, Marcus J. My name is Mrs. Harvey.
Hey,
and
Harvey.
I actually had a newspaper that was very well read. But let me ask this question. Was there an alert put out for this missing child?
I haven't seen any alerts going this. I'm glad you asked that question because it kind of spoke to some of the humor that we've seen from our people in social media. We know about what the Amber Alert, and it was set up because a young girl by the name of Amber, I think her name was Heard or Heat or something.
1992, I think.
A few years ago. But we were looking for some ebony alerts to look for our children. But no, I haven't seen any alerts. Doesn't mean they weren't out there. It just means I haven't seen them.
The only reason I'm asking that too is because as a group and in unity, there are a lot of things that can be done. But most people, see, I never even heard of any of this. But I'm trying to get my newspaper back, and I'm going to put it online this time before I hand it out. But if you can get enough people interested, you can keep a lot of things going on. And it's just African descent, and I say that because all black people are not of African descent, but that we are working together to make sure that we are not left out of what mostly our money goes to pay for. I could tell you stories, but you guys are so young. You need to have somebody working with you. And I like to do that if you're for real. Because a lot of people say they're going to do things. They don't do anything. They just sit around and wait for somebody else to do what they're supposed to do. So I'm truly interested because things are about to happen in this world, not just in Richmond, that is going to affect everybody. And not to a good point because of the things that are about to happen, earthquakes, all that kind of stuff. So I'm saying to you, if you truly care, I'd be very happy to help you and to get you across a lot of situations and stumbling blocks that you wouldn't have to go through if you knew some things. And I'm the person who knows a lot of what goes on.
Well, Caller, here's what I would ask you to do. Because we're running out of time, so I need to wrap up. But if you've got a pen, I'm going to give you our email address, and I'd love it for you to email us so that we will know, we'll remember, of course, that you were our caller. But the email address is legacyinternetradio@gmail.com. That's legacyinternetradio@gmail.com, and that's for anybody that's watching right now. If you want to be a part of what we're doing at Legacy Media Group and Legacy Internet Radio and Legacy TV, please feel free to send us an email, and we'd be happy to work with you in any way that would be mutually beneficial. Caller.
All right. I don't need to be benefited. We need our kids and the rest of the people to be benefited. But I'll do that right now.
Absolutely. We appreciate you, caller. Thank you. All right.
The caller actually brought up something that's very important, which is the Amber Alert. So there are 4 guidelines that the police or the FBI says that need to be made in order for a child to be sent out via an Amber Alert. And I have those here now. And one, abduction must occur. There must be an imminent danger of bodily injury, an imminent danger of death, and the person being abducted must be 17 years of age or younger. So unless the local police force or the FBI feels that those guidelines have been met, then the Amber Alert will not be sent out for that particular child. But I did want to finish that quick story. I know we have just 2 minutes. I did want to say that those 4 children weren't looked for. However, I continuously see stories about John Benet Ramsey. We're still looking for her.
It's been as long as it's been with her. We could stay on this topic
for hours,
literally forever. And unfortunately, we've come to the time of the show where we have to close it out. But I want to close it out with the reason why I'm so passionate about missing children. I remember in 1979, I was 5 years old, and there was a little boy by the name of Etain Pates who went to the bus and was never seen again. He was a latchkey kid, and I was a latchkey kid. He reminded me of myself, less than 5 miles away. He was never seen again. His killer was just convicted just a few months ago here in 2017. There was also Adam Walsh, who was beheaded, and I'm also the same age as a lot of the children that we lost to the Atlanta child murders from 79 to 82. So this is a legacy for me. This is the reason why I will always look for missing children. It's been in my soul and my spirit my entire life. So I wanted to close with that. You're watching Legacy TV. I'm your host, Marcus J. Join us next week where we'll have Author Charisma, Joe Bailey, and we will have a discussion on motorcycles with our team from All Throttle Radio. Independence is the key to building your legacy, folks. Legacy TV. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We'll see you next week. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Live from the Den. Legacy Internet Radio. You heard us just now do a segment on missing children right there on Legacy TV. Give you a little bit of an idea of how that works. And since we're on the subject of missing children, we're going to do one more missing child. We're looking for our sister Shania Hill. She's been missing since March 24, 2017 from Chesterfield, Virginia. She's a black female. She stands 5'6", weighs 180 pounds. There's a photograph of her with glasses and long hair, but they're saying that her head is currently shaven. She was last seen wearing a black shirt and blue jeans. If you've seen Shania Hill, please contact the National Center for Missing and or Exploited Children on their website, missingkids.com, or contact 1-800-THE-LOST, 1-800-843-5678, or contact the Chesterfield Police Department right here in the Cap City, 804-748-1251. And you know how Step with Marcus J is live from the Dana Legacy Internet Radio. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about my new hero. My new hero is CNN's Angela Rye. We're going to talk about why she's my new hero. I love the sister. I'm sitting here with my brother, Big Bro Joe. I'm Marcus J. Ain't no half stepping with yours truly and him.
I thought I was your hero.
And him. You ain't no hero to me. You just my brother.
Nobody knows that you're my hero.
You gonna do that? You gonna do that?
Yo, we in the den, man.
We in the den. And I had a nice little closeout. You messed it up, but
Wait a minute, hold up. You ain't like my falsetto.
Nah, man, that was like Bette Midler, man. What black dude sings Bette Midler?
I do.
For real?
Yo,
So
I'm
let me tell
also my man Crush Mondays.
You gonna watch Beaches too?
No.
They made a black one.
They did?
Yeah, I'll tell you about it in the break.
Ooh.
Ain't no half step with Marcus J. And him. And y'all. Be back in a few, y'all. Stay with us.
Hey, this is Warren Ballantyne, the number one truth writer in America, and I'm listening to my man, my brother, Marcus J, right here on Legacy Internet Radio.
Holistic care for the mind, body, and spirit. Free Spirit Enterprises, LLC, is a parent company for Organic Creations, Jewelry by Design, Miller Publishing, and Consultation Services. Organic Creations offers you the best in natural, homemade skin and hair care products. Jewelry by Design allows you, the customer, to design your own jewelry as it is custom made just for you. Thinking of self-publishing a book or novel? Check out Miller Publishing and Consultation Services. Free Spirit Enterprises is where holistic care meets mind, body, and spirit. Visit us at freespiritenterprisesco.biz. That's freespiritenterprisesco.biz. Or you can call 804-252-6562. Like us on Facebook under Free Spirit Enterprises, LLC.